road to the Daytona 500 picks up speed, and a whole lot of it today, as Speed proudly presents the Budweiser Duel at Daytona. Two great races to set the entire field for Sunday's big event. The front row, and only the front row, was set last Sunday when Danica Patrick landed the lap around the world and made history in the process. Danica becoming the first woman to ever win the pole for any NASCAR Cup Series race. Now there's a chance, a slim chance, that Dale Earnhardt Jr. might not make the field for the Daytona 500, and that is why today's Budweiser Duel at Daytona is just so important. Brad Keselowski, the defending series champ, standing by. We are standing by trackside for today's opening ceremonies for duel race number 1 at Daytona.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats as Patrick Air Force Base Color Guard present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Pastor Ronnie Barton from the First Baptist Church of South Daytona offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day today. We thank you for our country and for our military. Lord, we thank you for today because this is the greatest weekday event, a sports event of all. We thank you and pray that you protect the drivers and everyone involved. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
She is an Oscar-nominated narrator, a #1 Billboard recording artist, and is currently recording her solo album. Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Cassandra Lewis.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rambling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it one more time.
It's one of racing's most dramatic and unpredictable afternoons, and this first duel race number 1 is loaded. We are about to go racing next on Speed. Welcome back to Daytona, where the World Center of Racing sits just a few miles from the beach where NASCAR actually began. And it's a beautiful day here in Central Florida as well, a perfect day to go racing. You know, before the season began, Vegas odds makers had Danica Patrick as a 500-to-1 shot to win the Daytona 500. Look at where she is now, 30-to-1. Okay, not a favorite, but she is now in the category with champions like Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart. From our Hollywood hotel to your mobile device, glad you can join us along with champion crew chief Jeff Hammond. I'm Krista Voda. So, Jeff, got to be a testament to what Danica's already accomplished this week.
Those guys got smart, and they got smart in a hurry because of the fact she's been fast in testing in January, as well as since she's got here at Daytona. She can show she can run with these guys today. If she gets aggressive and shows she can handle this car, those odds may drop some more.
Well, Danica Patrick most certainly is the story. She has been the story all weekend. She will continue to be the story, especially based on what she does today. Steve Burns is down on the track with the star, Danica.
Well, Danica Patrick's been busy, Krista. 10 hours of interviews, requests from all over the world, but now it's time to get ready for the Daytona 500. Risk reward today. How do you approach this, Danica?
Well, I just got confused because Mr. Gene Haas told me, he's like, start and park. You got to start on the front row of the Daytona 500. I'm like, I haven't been instructed to do that one yet. So I said, you know, you got to race this one. You got to, especially starting up front, it's the best place to start. I was thinking on my little driver intro as I was riding in the truck. I thought, you know what? The only guaranteed pole position I have for the whole weekend is this one. So, you know, make the most of it and lead as much as I can. If it gets a little chaotic, I'll try not to add to the chaos and drop back. But I got to know what I have for Sunday, which is the payday, which is the big day. So, you know, I'm going to do the best I can to keep the GoDaddy car up front. But if I drop back, I'll try and be smart.
All right, thank you, Danica. Let's go back to Krista.
Thanks, Steve. Sounds like she is going to race. And man, they're starting them young these days. That's Keelan Harvick, Kevin's son. And that was good luck Saturday night in the Sprint Unlimited for Keelan to sit in the seat first. Let's go down trackside for today's command.
Race fans, it is time. Here to deliver the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, District Manager for ABC Liquors, David LaRue.
Drivers, start your engines.
The first Budweiser Duel at Daytona is about to go green. 60 laps, 150 miles at close to 200 miles per hour, and then we'll do it all over again. Double the drama today on Speed.
Just gotta go from the first sergeant. I'm thinking something about the defense department. For the team looks fat. Ready for war, dog. How we gon' blow the spot? Be all I can be and be all I'm not. Now you know.
There are drivers who already know they'll be in the Daytona 500. Fast freight on the outside track. Can they make it the distance? We get ready to begin the duel at Daytona. Get ready for some noise.
Speed is ready to go racing with the Budweiser Duel at Daytona, so you had better be ready too, because we are about to go green. Now for this race, Trevor Bayne is up front alongside Daytona 500 pole sitter Danica Patrick. Welcome back inside to the Hollywood Hotel. Trevor Bayne, of course, the 2011 Daytona 500 champion. And let's head up to the broadcast booth where alongside Mike Joy, you'll find Darrell Waltrip and Larry McReynolds. Mike, the new car looks cool and the racing is going to be hot.
Absolutely. A lot of questions that'll hopefully be answered today, Krista. The Budweiser Duel has a grand tradition of setting the field for the 500 that dates all the way back to the building of the Speedway in 1959. But, Darrell, so many questions about how the drivers will run this race today.
Mike, there's no question. These drivers have met with their crew chief. They've met with their spotters. They have a game plan. They want to race hard, but they want to race smart. I don't know what happens. But when a driver puts that helmet on and he gets up in the middle of the pack and there's cars inside, outside, front him, behind him, he forgets that he's got to get this car. He needs this car on Sunday. He races like it's the last lap of the race. Somebody has to remind him, calm down, be patient, take care of this car. We're going to need it Sunday.
Right, because if you lose this car in this race, you'd either start the 500 in the back or you might have to go home. So, Larry, Steve Burns used a great term, risk versus reward ratio, to describe today.
Yeah, and these are qualifying races. It's something very unique to our sport. This is the only time of the year we do this is for the Daytona 500. And there are different agendas. You have drivers, they want to make sure they qualify for the Daytona 500. Every driver wants to start as far up in the field as they possibly can for the biggest race of the year. But the bottom line, it's two races, and there's a victory lane, and at the end of the day, two drivers will get to say, we won a race at Daytona International Speedway.
All right, let's have a look at the Budweiser starting lineup for the first of two Budweiser duels today. Danica Patrick, the first woman pole sitter in NASCAR history, opposite Trevor Bayne on the front row. Row 2, Tony Stewart, 3 dual wins, and Denny Hamlin, who won one of these in 2008. Joey Logano has finished top 10 in the last 3 Daytona 500s, and 3-time dual winner Dale Earnhardt Jr. Juan Pablo Montoya, best dual finish of 3rd in 2010. Casey Mears, the runner-up in the Daytona 500 in 06. Then Carl Edwards, the pole sitter here 1 year ago with Martin Truex. Back in row 6, a dual winner in 2010, Jimmy Johnson, with Sprint Cup champion Brad Keselowski. Sprint Unlimited winner Kevin Harvick shares row 7 with Greg Biffle, who got his first career Cup win here at Daytona. David Gilliland 4th in the duel in 07, and Michael Waltrip, a 2-time dual winner. As you have a look through the rest of the starting lineup, Darrell?
Let's talk to little brother. What do you say? Hey, Michael Waltrip, it's Big Brother up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hello, Big Brother. I hear you loud and clear.
Buddy, you started a little bit toward the rear there, but you had a really fast car in practice yesterday. Can you and Tony Eury Jr. find that magic again?
Well, we know our goals today, and that's just to make our way into the big show on Sunday. But I sure have loved working with all the Swan Racing team. Tony Jr.'s the best. He's just got a great attitude. We've won this race before, Darrell. In 05, we won our 150. So I think there's magic in us left still, don't you?
I do, brother. You've kind of been around the other guys and gals out there today and in the garage area. How are people going to approach this race? Have you discussed that with any of the other drivers?
It's like we're a bunch of rookies, Darrell. The wind, the air off the cars is really causing people some havoc. They don't understand exactly what's going on. Used to, when you got right up on the back bumper of another car, you went faster. Now it seems like it bogs them down. You force the air into a guy's left rear quarter panel, you're going to spin him out. So everybody's really going to learn a lot today, and this is your best chance to learn everything it takes to win the Daytona 500. So hopefully we can survive, go to school, and really learn what it takes to get these babies around the track.
Well, I like your car. Great effort here for you and the team. Number 26, Newtown. That's a great cause. Good luck, buddy, and do your thing.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let's check downstairs with our NASCAR on Fox All-Star Pit Crew, Matt Yoakum.
Mike, this could be the most important duel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as far as qualifying races go here at Daytona in over a decade. Now, Jr. starts at the back due to an engine change. A crash Saturday night cost him a lot of drafting time with this new Chevy. So Steve Letarte, crew chief, told me, I've unleashed Jr., told him to be aggressive, told him to move around, experiment. We need a solid direction as far as setup goes, so we know what Jr. needs to score another Daytona 500 win on Sunday. Steve Burns?
Well, Matt, it's pretty much the same here for his teammate Jimmy Johnson since winning the Daytona 500 in 2006. His luck has been downright dismal on the restrictor plate tracks, and they've pretty much been the Lone Rangers in practice during speed weeks. But his team just told me the reins are off. They need to learn some things. Expect Jimmy Johnson to race. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Steve, Juan Pablo Montoya qualified 7th for this duel, but he will go to the rear of the field because of an engine change that took place prior to qualifying here for the Daytona 500. Now, despite that setback, this team is very confident that their switch to Hendrick engines in the offseason will give them a better chance to be competitive, not only here at Daytona, but for the entire 2013 season. Mike?
Thanks, Hermie. 60 laps, 150 miles. Danica Patrick on the pole for this duel and for the Daytona 500. Here's communication between Danica and her crew.
Hi, you guys have done an awesome job all weekend, and now it's time for me to do my job, so I'm going to do the best I can to keep this car in pole position where you put it, and have some fun.
Her crew chief, Tony Gibson, was born within sight of the Speedway, Halifax Hospital. Car chief for Alan Kulwicki's championship year. A long timer in NASCAR. He has as much experience here as perhaps Danica lacks.
Risk reward today, though. Today's the risk, in my opinion. The reward might be on Sunday.
Why are we so apprehensive about what will happen today? Look what's happened so far. Matt Kenseth across the nose of Kurt Busch in Budweiser, or rather Sprint Unlimited practice. Tony Stewart came across Marcus Ambrose, and that pinballed Denny Hamlin through the field. In Unlimited. Brian Newman in yesterday's practice got loose outside of Carl Edwards, with Mark Martin also involved.
And that's a lot of the sport's top drivers. In fact, a couple of champions there with Tony Stewart and the other guy that was involved in that one wreck there.
It's like my brother said on the parade lap there, Mike. These guys they're going to school. They're really learning about this car and what it does when it gets in certain positions. And it's different than what we've had in the past. It's better, but it's different.
So today is your midterm exam. The Budweiser Duel, 60 laps, 150 miles. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour, and the fuel window, Larry.
42 to 46 laps, so we know every driver will have to make at least one pit stop, whether it be under caution or be under green.
And you know, one other thing real quickly. I believe there's a lot of pressure on every one of these drivers to be the driver that won one of the first races in this new car. But Kevin Harvick, Saturday night in the Unlimited, he won the first race in the Gen 6 car. Who's going to win the qualifiers today? Who's going to win the 500 on Sunday?
Ready to race up in the east banking of turns 3 and 4. Steeped 31 degrees. And then they flare out into the short chute that leads to the 18-degree bank trioval. The green flag awaits.
Hot and sunny, Larry. There's a lot of sunshine on the racetrack today.
This is the hottest it's been the entire Speedweeks.
23 cars. 15 of them will lock in Daytona 500 starting positions 60 laps from now. Chevrolet pace car dives onto pit road, and Danica Patrick, NASCAR's first woman pole sitter, brings them to the green. We're racing. Patrick and her car owner Tony Stewart on the inside, then Joey Logano driving his new Ford.
We saw this in the Sprint Unlimited. At the start of the race, Denny Hamlin in the black 11 gave Trevor Bayne a bit of a push in that 21, and that really gave him a good run through 1 and 2.
On the outside, Bayne in a Ford. The 11 is Hamlin's Toyota, then Casey Mears. He's in a Ford, and Truex in a Toyota. 2 by 2, here they come. Who will lead the first lap?
It's like that 21 car. That thing's been fast in practice, qualified good, and Trevor Bayne, our 2011 winner of the Daytona 500, is out front and looking good.
One concern about passing here is when you pull that group right up even with the race leader. You face a wall of air, and completing the pass has been difficult.
It's a perfect scenario for Danica, though, because she's got her car owner and teammate behind her, Tony Stewart. You know he's going to kind of shepherd her along. But that 11 car, that's the guy I think you got to keep an eye on, Larry.
Hamlin in a tight draft with Bayne. They're the leaders on the outside. Patrick leading the inside lane.
I really don't think this is going down exactly like Danica and Tony really thought it would. I think they thought with Danica being on the pole on the inside, they would be able to get ahead of all this traffic that they're fighting right now. So I'm not sure this going according to plan.
Hamlin.
Well, it just appeared that outside line stayed tighter to each other than the inside line, and that kept moving them ahead.
Just based on what I've seen in practice, Larry, with the Gibbs Toyotas particularly, and all the Toyotas in general, that 11 car is fast.
I'll tell you who else is pretty fast. Casey Mears in that 13 car right behind Trevor Bayne. If you go back to the last restrictor plate race of last year, he was pushing Michael Waltrip to the win to the big wreck happened in 3 and 4.
15 cars in that front pack, Darrell, bumper to bumper, 195 miles an hour. That's white knuckle racing right there.
Yeah, this is, if I were Danica, this is as far back as I'd want to go and keep racing, because it's going to get tense. These guys are going to get 3 wide here before long.
Now the 48 of Jimmy Johnson has done no drafting practice. He's made single car runs all week. Hasn't had a chance to work that Chevrolet in the draft, and now he's stuck in the middle with Kevin Harvick trying to edge ahead there.
Boy, we've seen this scenario a few times, and it hadn't been pretty.
Steve Burns.
And you saw Carl Edwards there stuck on the bottom on the low side of Jimmy Johnson, Mike. He said he would much rather get to the high side. He just can't get there from here.
2x2, then 3x3. By three. Earnhardt from the back alongside the 29 of Harvick. He's up to 13th now in that number 88 Chevrolet.
You know, one thing that Danica said, and I really liked what she said. She said, I know it's going to be chaotic. I just don't want to add to it. And I think that's where she's riding along right now. How much of this can I take?
Waltrip on the outside with the front pack. 10th overall. And Johnson inside him.
I don't mean her as a driver. I just mean putting her car back in the field right here.
Driver that has really been working his way to the front. He started in the 10th position, but our champion, Brad Keselowski, in that 2 car, the 4th car in line, seems like he didn't have a lot of qualifying speed, but good speed in the draft.
Hello.
Gyro cam on board Jimmy Johnson, giving you a taste of the 31-degree banking.
That is awesome. And folks at home, that's exactly what it feels like. It flips you up in the bank. Then it sets you down on the straightaway, and that's what a driver feels for 500 miles around this place, 150 today. Look at that view. Look at the angle of that view, and that's what the driver's looking out the corner of that windshield. That's what he sees.
Back to double file. Behind the front half dozen.
Darrell, it just appears Denny Hamlin in the 11. He jumped to the bottom. I think he thought that that line was going to start moving, and that line just keeps moving backwards.
You heard Jimmy Johnson say, I want to get to the outside. The hotter it gets, the slicker it gets, the more you're going to run that outside.
Trevor Bayne remains on point. 16th is the final transfer position, and that's where Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits. Nope, Joe Nemechek has passed Earnhardt for the final spot to race into the 500. That's Scott Speed in the 95 up high, sandwiching Jimmy Johnson in between he and Danica Patrick.
Oh boy, this is really, I know there's a crew down there. That 10 bunch is holding their breath right now. This is the danger zone, folks.
Nemechek side by side for that last transfer spot now with Tony Stewart. And Carl Edwards moves on to the bubble. Patrick and Stewart continue to draft nose to tail.
Darrell, I think we got our answer to the question we had on qualifying day. The Ford count did not have a lot of speed in single car runs. How about 5 of the top 6 right now in this race out of the Ford count?
They like that draft, Larry. They like to get out there and draft each other.
Kurt Busch just sailed by on the outside to take over the final qualifying position. Speed's presentation of the Budweiser Duel at Daytona, presented by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Sprint. Millions of fans, one family. Only Sprint can feed them all. Join the family at sprint.com/speed.
And I got to say this, okay? For all those people who said, I knew she couldn't stay up there, this is all part of the plan. She just needs to run out, and she's getting some laps. She wants to see what her car will do. So she's doing what she's planning. Well, I think this was their plan.
All right, Danica Patrick has fallen to the back of the field. Matt.
DW hit it exactly right. Last night, these two teams sat down and they came up with a couple different scenarios for this duel in case certain situation presented itself. Now, basically, Brandon Benesh, Danica Patrick's spotter, and Stewart's spotter, Bob Jeffrey, both noticed the fact that the bottom line wasn't moving. Too many cars had gone by. They decided to drop to the back, play it a little bit more safe at this juncture, and then a few more laps later, they'll make a run back toward the front. Just learning and being safe, guys.
Look who she's running with. Look who she's running around. 5-time, 3-time, Carl Edwards. I mean, you got some champions back there that she's kind of running around at the back with.
There are 23 cars in this race. It's a 22-car draft. Brian Keselowski, older brother of the champ, has lost the draft. You'll see him cycle across the top of the screen in your Fox box. 23rd. The easiest way to keep up with this race is to look at the background of the position number. If it is green, then that driver is in a position to race his way in to the Daytona 500 with that finishing position. If the background number it has no color, that driver may have to look for another way to get into the 500 based on his qualifying speed or provisional. If a driver is eliminated from Sunday's race, then the background of his position number will be red. There are 15 positions available in this race in the 500 field, plus Danica Patrick, the pole sitter, is locked in.
Question, crew chief. Dale Jr. lost an engine yesterday. And do you think by chance that the Hendrick group decided to detune their engines just a little bit? Because look where they're all running. And they've been pretty steamy in practice and qualifying.
Yeah, I just believe the fact that they know there's a pit stop coming. And I'm looking, they're all running the same speed right now. Steve, I just didn't hear that there was a huge alarm in the Hendrick camp as far as engines.
No, and the only comment from Jimmy Johnson thus far, Larry Mack, he says, I'm just a little bit aero tight off the corners. Nothing loose about this race car.
But just think, this is the first time that Jimmy Johnson has had this car in the draft. Yesterday, the 2 practice sessions, he elected to make single car runs trying to find speed in his 48 car.
Well, you can, I mean, with the ECU unit, the electronic control unit, you can regulate these engines and how much performance. Are you going to max perform? You know, where you want the engine to run. I just had this idea that watching where they're running, I said, well, maybe they just detune them, get some miles on them, but they be sure everything's okay.
15 laps complete this time. Hermie Sadler, how about Denny Hamlin's number 11 Toyota?
Well, Mike, he dropped all the way back to the 20th position on the racetrack, partly because he got caught in the wrong line, partly because his car is too tight, especially on the exit of the corner, and that's a battle he's fighting right now. The lower he tries to run on the racetrack, the tighter his car gets. So right now he's hung back in a little bit of traffic, as you can see, trying to make a move on the 38 to get back towards the front. Mike?
Listen, that's the worst. When you're tight off, you got your wheels turning. Coming off the corner, you're wide open in the throttle, and those front tires aren't gripping. All you can do is get out of the gas because that thing is headed straight for the wall.
12-car breakaway at the front of the field. There they are, and behind them the battle is on for that last qualifying spot, which right now is held by David Rudiman. 19 laps complete in today's aerial coverage, brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
It's just real tight off of 4 right now. It's tight into 3, but it's pretty tight off of 4.
We'll make an adjustment. We'll be stopped there.
So, Tony, sorry I can't stay closer, but I just keep on having to lift.
And that's what you do here. When the track gets hot, when the track gets slick, the car will not turn off the corner, particularly when you run the low line. That's why these guys have all gone to the high side. You get a little bit straighter run off the corner that helps that push a little bit, but that's a problem we've had at this track a long, long time, pushing off the corners.
What was a 12-car breakaway is now a 20-car draft, and the battle is on for the last transfer spot. Montoya has it. Edwards wants it, and a lap or so ago, Edwards had a close call.
This looks a lot like what we saw in practice with the 99 Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman yesterday. Watch Carl's car takes off up the hill. That's the same thing that he did to Ryan Newman yesterday, and Newman spun out.
Watching Trevor Bayne in this race, I talked to one of his owners, Eddie Wood, yesterday in Rod Gary. He said this kid wants to turn everything into a competition. He said we could just be out having fun on a windy day flying kites. He will figure out how to turn that into a competition.
Trevor Bayne on point, wearing the Wood Brothers paint scheme that won the 1963 Daytona 500 for them.
That's got to thrill Leonard Wood to death, man. That car out there leading that race, his tribute car. Leonard Wood just inducted into the 2013 Hall of Fame along with his brother Glenn last year. Those guys know how to run Daytona.
Brad Keselowski sitting in 4th spot, Matt.
Mike, different agendas throughout the field. Now, yesterday, Keselowski's team had an issue with their fuel system. They changed out the entire fuel system. They ran sometime yesterday just to check that, but no better test than running this duel. Keselowski says no issues. In fact, he says he's noticing other drivers are starting to lose their handle. He feels like if his teammate directly behind him, Joey Logano, would dip out with him, they could make a run and take the lead. He feels pretty good about his car at this juncture.
And Larry, what have you said down here for the last several days? When a guy pulls in the victory circle here and he gets out of his car, what's he going to say?
He's going to talk about how good his car drove. He's probably maybe won't talk about how fast it was, but how good it drove.
You got to be able to run wide open lap after lap. If you have to start missing, like we heard Danica say, you're going to lose the lead draft.
These brand new Fords, Chevys, and Toyotas with a lot more manufacturer identity than the past cars. Aerodynamically, they are different. They drive differently. And here is the battle for the bubble. Rudeman 14th on the outside in the 83. Tony Stewart on the bubble. Denny Hamlin 1 spot back with Jimmy Johnson. And now Rudeman in the 83 is in the last qualified spot.
And David Rudeman is the one that really needs that spot. We know Tony Stewart would be in on speed, but David Rudeman, 41st quickest, he knows he has to race his way in through this dual race.
That's a group, you know you got to race your way in. You're pretty desperate. That's a group you need to keep your eye on, particularly if you're behind all of them as Danica Patrick is right now.
That is an 8-car jam session there, fighting for 15th. Now we know that once this race is over, if Trevor Bayne and Tony Stewart don't race their way in, their speed will get them into the 500, and these drivers would be in with provisional positions should they not race in. There is even a scenario in which Dale Earnhardt Jr. misses the 500 if the drivers ahead of him on speed and provisionals have to use them, and Jr. does not race his way in this event.
Mike, of the drivers you just marked there, the 2 that are outside that top 15 right now, Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin.
Last time around, Jimmy Johnson and David Rudeman's 83.
Wow, did you see that flap come up on the hood, Larry?
That
a lot of air.
Shows you how much the air changes on the nose of a car when he's following another driver.
There you see Rudeman. Whoa, he might have got a little bit of the wall there after that bump from Johnson. Was that bump drafting or a little bit of a chrome horn?
I think he thought you had to go right to go left, but this ain't dirt.
26 of 60 laps complete in the first Budweiser Duel. Drivers take the halfway sign. Trevor Bayne still in the lead. 12-car lead draft. And on pit road, that's one of the newest members of the NASCAR Hall of Fame, Leonard Wood, mechanical genius, pit stop choreographer. And the Wood brothers took the paint scheme thing to extreme. They're even wearing the same uniform design as in 1963 when Tiny Lund drove their car to victory lane. He's getting ready to clean the grill when Trevor comes in on pit stop.
What do you remember about that race, or do you remember anything at all?
Well, I remember Marvin Panch was the Wood brothers driver, but he was injured in a sports car race, and Tiny Lund was one of those who pulled him out. Marvin couldn't drive the 500. They installed Tiny Lund in the car.
The greatest, fastest pit crew, just about forever, never changed tires that day.
The Wood brothers have 3 wins in the duel, with Cale Yarborough in 1970, David Pearson in 75, and Neil Bonnet in 1980. Jeff Hammond.
Guys, you were talking about pit stops. The way I'm looking at the way this race is starting to shake out, I think this is going to be really important that all these teams, it's kind of like their first opportunity in really a live fire situation to execute perfectly, because track position really looks like it's going to be premium today, and getting off pit road is going to be critical.
You know, Jeff, I think it's more getting on pit road, because when you're running in a pack like this, you really got to watch getting down off the track. You don't get run over.
And this pack will decide, Jeff, who's going to be in the 500. Right now it's Montoya, the 42 with that transfer. No, now it's Regan Smith.
And Mike, I go back to what Darrell was saying. Getting on the pit road. These guys have not practiced it a whole lot, so this is the first time at speed they've got to start getting the car down to pit road speed and not run over one another.
And now it's Tony Stewart who's in the 15th spot. That leaves Jimmy Johnson 1 spot away. Earnhardt 3 spots away from qualifying.
And that pit stop is about 10 or 12 laps away. And here's what's going to be the crapshoot. The way these cars are handling right now, I think you want to go with 4 tires, but you don't need but just about a can of fuel. So that the tire changers, a lot's going to be on their shoulder.
I think so, Larry, but I also think if there's guys in there say, hey, my car's handling great, Might throw 2 tires and a shot of gas and get out of there.
As long as he has plenty of friends, it does the same thing.
And that's usually what you're doing. If you got neighbors and you're going to pit with somebody or you're going to come in with other people, you work out what your plan is with the other people so you don't get caught out.
Right now, Jimmy Johnson's 48 at the tail end of this pack is in the last transfer position. Here comes Earnhardt on the inside trying to take it away. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Carl Edwards, 6th, 7th, 8th. Greg Biffle right there. And Harvick really steaming along on the inside here.
I think if you can run the bottom and you don't have to lift out of the throttle, get the pushing up off the corner, you can make good time down there. But that bottom is hard to run when the track is hot and slick like this.
Pit stop should be coming soon. The lead pack has reformed, 18 cars deep. Regan Smith right now in the last transfer spot. They were 3 by 3 halfway through the field, and then they came up on Brian Keselowski, who the leader puts 2 laps down. They had to reform double file, and now they're 3 abreast again.
You know, I thought that Brian was going to be right in the way, but they were able to manage it very well. I'm really surprised. I thought that was going to be a disaster.
Edwards inside Logano in the middle in that yellow car. 3 wide. Pit stops have begun. Joe Nemechek, who has to race his way into the 500, and David Rudiman making their green flag stop. Jeff?
Guys, I'd like to point out Kevin Harvick. Remember the other night in the shootout deal that he forced his way to the front in that last segment, got to come down pit road, held that lead off of pit road and went on to win that event on Saturday night. So I'm looking for him to do about the same thing today, be able to try to hold that serve off of pit road. And Darrell, to your point, when he started this race, he was one of the very few cars that was loose.
She's tightened up now and going somewhere.
Well, Harvick brought the inside line to the front and made the pass for the lead. He is the only driver who's been able to do that today.
But I tell you, to Jeff's point, his crew the other night in that Sprint Unlimited gave him a well of a pit stop, and that's what put him in a position to hold that lead and go on and win that race.
Bobby Labonte comes off pit road as David Gilliland comes in. Harvick, Bain, Mir, Truex, Biffle, and Jimmy Johnson has fought his way up to 6th. They've taken off from the pack, which remains 3 and 2 wide behind them.
But don't you love the way Harvick races? I mean, we had, you know, Trevor Bayne's leading the race comfortably, and Casey Mears right behind him. They're riding along real good shape. All of a sudden, where did he come from?
Well, he continues to make the statement, even though he has announced he will be leaving Richard Childress Racing at the end of this year, that we are here to contend and win races.
He has. I love his attitude. He wants to help this team. He wants it to be in the best shape it can be in when he walks out the door. It's good for him. It's good for the team. Here comes some of them.
Series champ Brad Keselowski, his teammate Joey Logano stopping with him, and also Montoya coming to pit road, Scott Speed, and Regan Smith. Green flag pit stops. Hermie?
Juan Pablo Montoya hits his pit stall. His car has been tight, especially in traffic. They're talking about 2 right side tires and fuel. Matt?
And with the Penske cars, both Joey Logano in the 22 and Brad Keselowski are champion, both on pit road, and both had similar complaints during that first run. So the car was really tight early, but as the run progressed, it got better and better. Both are away.
A whole group, including the leaders, are going to peel off this time. Kevin Harvick is going to lead Trevor Bayne onto pit road. Casey Mears, Martin Truex, Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, and just about the rest of the field.
Yeah, the 21 car got out into the infield there a little bit. I don't think it hurt it, though.
Steve.
The report from Jimmy Johnson, he says the car is running a little bit warm, but okay. He continued to say the car was just a little bit tight off. Hermie.
21 car, no adjustments, but it would be a 4 tire stop and fuel. Matt?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was riding near the back into that run. Not a lot of complaints from Jr. Meanwhile, Danica Patrick pulls the green car to a stop. They're going to make a track bar adjustment because she had such a difficult time losing the nose, especially off turn 4. The car was tight, and she's away.
We saw a mixed bag of strategies on pit road. There were 2 tires, there were 4 tires. I even saw like Regan Smith's team went with fuel only.
Yeah, I think 2 tires was a call, Larry. Just no more fuel than you need to get to the end. 2 tires.
Let's take a look at the 29 of Kevin Harvick leading Trevor Bayne and the rest of this pack onto pit road, and then everyone else decides to pit with him. A lot of tire smoke there.
Here's what happens. Trevor blows his right front tire out, shoots him out into the grass a little bit. He comes to the pit box with a right front tire flat.
And I think that's one reason they just went ahead and said, you know what, we're up near the front. We're going to put 4 tires on this 21 car.
Doesn't appear to hurt the nose on the car at all.
Bayne is back on track in 11th. And the all-important final transfer spot right now belongs to Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Series champion in the 47. Harvick in and out first, ahead of Greg Biffle, Martin Truex, Jimmy Johnson, and Casey Mears. 42 laps. Brian Keselowski is the last car to come to pit road as Kevin Harvick leads. 45 laps complete. Kevin Harvick is your leader. 4-car draft at the front, then 2, then more. We listened to Trevor Bayne about that entrance to pit road.
Harvick crowded us over. I couldn't do anything about it. Sorry.
He's second in line there.
I think he was just coming a lot faster than Harvick. Harvick really gave him quite a bit of room right there. They get a little tight, but Trevor had such a head of steam. But remember, we were having the practice show yesterday, and I told you about managing your resources. The 48 is a good example. The 48 was at the back of the pack before those pit stops. Your resources are your driver and his talent, your car and its speed, and your pit crew and your crew chief, what they do in the strategy. They have used every bit of their resources to find themselves up in the top 4 here.
And the field is spread out for 2 reasons. One, the driver's skill entering and leaving pit road, but moreover, the skill of that pit crew in making a fast stop has spread the field a bit.
Well, when I look at our top 4 right now, Harvick, Biffle, Truex Jr., Johnson, their teams went with 2 right side tires, as Darrell pointed out, just enough fuel to get to the end. When I look at the 2 drivers behind them, Edwards in the 99 too, actually Casey Mears in the 13, fuel only.
Man, one other thing, Larry, remember those guys raced Saturday night. So the pit crews have had some practice of changing tires, maybe have a better strategy, and they're leading the race.
Bobby Labonte holds the last transfer spot, but now Brad Keselowski and Juan Pablo Montoya have drafted up to him. That could change quickly. 50 laps complete, 10 to go in the first of 2 Budweiser Duel races to set the 500 field. Kevin Harvick is on point. Trevor Bayne led most of the way. Harvick brought the inside line up from the front, took the lead. Pole sitter Danica Patrick dropped to the back, but after her pit stop has rebounded to 18th place. Brian Keselowski 2 laps down, and David Gilliland has just been lapped, taking them off the lead lap, and the transfer spot right now is still held by the number 47 of Bobby Labonte. His Toyota just in front of Brad Keselowski, the series champ, and Juan Pablo Montoya as the laps wind down.
I like the way this is setting up, Larry. It kind of looks like a rerun of the Unlimited Saturday night. These 2 cats at the front. Biffle might think he owes Harvick a little something.
Well, Darrell, I can't help but go back to the Sprint Unlimited when I look at these 4 drivers leading this pack around here with about 8.5 laps to go. I think back to what did not happen in that race, and I think back to what Tony Stewart told you under the pace laps of that race. You can't wait to the last corner, and I think all of these drivers know that. The question, when are they going to make their move?
What's kind of interesting, you have a Chevrolet, a Ford, a Toyota, and another Chevrolet, so all of these guys are right here with a shot.
We're going to have to look back pretty deeply into the Sprint Unlimited to find the last time Kevin Harvick was passed under the green flag here this week. Things are picking up in the second pack. It's a 4-car breakaway out front. Now all of these drivers are in a secure qualification.
Oh, there you go.
Hard 1 car into the wall, and that's Carl Edwards.
Or is it Carl?
Wow.
Regan Smith gets tagged. Denny Hamlin involved. That changes everything.
21 spun.
Had that group minded their P's and Q's, they all would be in the Daytona 500.
Oh my.
And now we're under caution for the first time in the first Budweiser Duel. Very, very hard contact with the outside wall for Carl Edwards, who has dropped the window net. And that is a signal to safety workers that he is okay.
So if we can get a look here and see exactly what happened.
There's Carl Edwards.
Comes his pack around. He kind of pushes up off the bottom there a little bit. Looks pretty good at this point. Oh, Hamlin, looks like Hamlin got loose first. Not sure why. Have to look at it again.
But he definitely got loose and came down into Carl Edwards' right rear quarter panel.
Let's see if we can get a better look here.
Now that's Michael Waltrip alongside Carl.
Oh, the 11 just gets, he's just spinning out. He gets loose and starts to spin.
Yeah, he got no help from the 21 whatsoever. He just got loose, it looked like.
Now further back was Dale Earnhardt Jr. Back about 12th position. Let's ride along.
Get the help here. Use the air off that 22. You'll drive right back by him here. There you go. Keep coming, keep going, keep going, keep going. Good job, man. Good job. Caution's out.
That is a great piece of driving, folks. Didn't panic. See there, the 11 just gets around. And Larry, when you're really tight off of 2 over there, you got a lot of wheel in the thing, and when the front end finally does take a little bit of a bite, the thing it'll come around with you like that.
And Denny Hamlin, one of the drivers, his crew, they put 4 fresh tires on that car into that pit stop.
Junior makes it through, and Trevor Bayne runs out of room in the 21.
Boy, between the car and testing and now speed weeks, that's a lot of cars for Carl Edwards. Hermie.
The 11 car did make it to pit road. Obviously 4 flat tires. What I can see, a little bit of damage to the left front fender. They did not spend any time working on damage on the right side. So I'm assuming all the damage we can see on the car right here in front of the left front tire. They're going to try to get 4 tires on it, fix the damage, and get him away. Matt?
Brad Keselowski brings the deuce to pit road, his car tight. Meanwhile, a few more stalls up pit road. Tony Stewart says his car is extremely tight down in turns 3 and 4, and off of turn 2, it's just sliding the nose. Chassis adjustments for both.
Juan Pablo Montoya and Scott Speed also making pit stops.
Evidently, Montoya must have some damage there. You can see him working on the right front. But, yeah, the other drivers that came to pit road, 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, the 42 looks like he got against the fence at some point.
His car was already a bit banged up and scraped up from green flag racing earlier.
Yeah, I think those that damage was done. Now they have time to fix it.
Tony Stewart slides through. We're under caution at Daytona as Trevor Bayne surveys the damage. 5 laps to go and getting ready to restart, and the question is, what turned the 11 of Denny Hamlin around when it did not appear there was any contact?
You're just coming up off you're coming off this corner. Remember, we're talking about how cars are tight and they're pushing. The car's understeering. You got a lot of steering in it, The front of the car bites just a little bit, and when it does, it snaps the back end around just like that.
Coming to green with 4 laps to race. Brad Keselowski Scott Speed in the final transfer spot as they take the green.
Yeah, what looked like was going to be 4 drivers fighting it out. We're back up to about 15 or 16 with 4 to go.
Yeah, this could get real interesting.
Bump drafting Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick in the 29 as they come to speed.
Look at that little green car slipping in the picture there. Larry, who is that?
That would be Brother Michael up there in that 26 car.
He beats all I've ever seen.
In 5th place. Biffle on the inside now. Riding with Waltrip. Johnson just ahead in 3rd. Logano just behind in 4th. Then Earnhardt Jr. and Truex.
This is somewhat the situation we were in at the start of the race, where it just looks like that outside line is lining up and they're going to prevail here.
You know, quite honestly, I know Michael's in a great spot right there, but in all reality, he can't afford to have a problem.
At the back of that pack, David Ruderman just lost the transfer spot to 14. Tony Stewart.
Look at that bottom. They come off the corner right there. They're 3 wide coming up off 2 over there. Headed down the back.
Yeah, look at Montoya in the 42. He was just on pit road getting repairs and 4 tires, and look at him coming up through there on the bottom.
He got them good repairs. Made that baby better.
Speed, Ruderman. Ruderman, Speed. The 95 and the 83 fighting for the last spot, and just ahead of them, they are log jammed 3 abreast. Nemechek now in the transfer spot in the 87.
Hang on to her, boys.
And Harvick's having to do the same thing he did the other night. He's driving out the windshield, but he's almost driving as much out the rear window.
He's working it, baby. He's working it. He's waiting to make somebody to make a move.
And Waltrip on the outside, backing up just a bit. Stewart on the bottom. That's Kurt Busch in the 78 coming up the middle with Casey Mears.
I can't get over Montoya in that 42. He is just beating the rear bumper off the Biffle down the back straightaway. Finally gets off.
Montoya in the target car restarted 13th. He is up to 3rd.
White flag in the air, and none too soon, I might add.
Still good here. Still good here. Come middle right.
Nemechek in the transfer spot 3 wide near the back of that pack. Can that owner driver race his way into the 500?
The same 2 drivers at the end of the Sprint Unlimited. Harvick in first, Biffle in the 16 in second.
Don't look now, Ethel.
Now Gilliland 15. Now Scott Speed. What a desperate battle to make Sunday's Great American Race. Now Gilliland, the 38.
All in a wad. Here they come. Every time we see this on the last lap, what do we see that follows?
Checkers or wreckers? Here they come. Final time. Harvick to win it from Biffle. And all in a pack, 17 cars.
Oh my.
And unofficially, the final driver to race his way in, Michael Waltrip.
Wow.
15.
Oh my gosh. Michael Curtis at CW, you got a copy?
We don't have no. We need to get our right front.
Darrell by 9/100ths of a second. Waltrip edges Scott Speed for the final transfer spot.
Hey, Mikey, CW, you got a copy?
Loud and clear, brother. That was intense.
Whoa, buddy, you just barely made it in, but guess what? You made it in.
Yeah, there's a lot of people up in Connecticut I know with a big smile on their face for this Texas Newtown to 8088 Toyota. I'm just real proud to get in the race for them. They can sit up in the cold on Sunday in the Northeast and watch a big old fashioned fancy NASCAR race from Daytona. Don't get much better than that.
Holy cow, buddy, I thought you were going to win it there for a couple laps, but it looked like you got in the wrong line.
Well, I didn't get in the line. My line became the wrong line. You know, it's no coincidence that Biffle and Harvick were up front Saturday night in the shootout. They're really fast, even though, you know, me and Jimmy had it all pulled together, it looked like. They just were too strong. Their cars are really fast, so watch for those guys in the 500. And then we were a little tight at the end. We got to work on our handling. But thank the team. Really happy to be a part of this show.
Good job, buddy. Work on her a little bit.
Yeah, she needs some adjustments right on.
Kevin Harvick had never won a duel in 11 tries. Now he is headed for victory lane as we go to Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, Carl Edwards just out of the infield care center. And, Carl, let's take a look at the replay, and you can walk us through what happened.
I was driving along minding my own business, and I thought, well, I'll just go up here and get close to these guys so I can get a pull down the back straightaway. And then I saw in my mirror, it seemed like Denny got sideways. Yep, he got sideways, hit me right here. I thought, boy, I'm going to flip. And fortunately, it didn't. But that's the 4th time we've wrecked a car since we've been down here before the Daytona 500. So I got to thank my guys for working so hard. They're putting these things back together, and fortunately, we got fast and all stuff. We got nuts and bolts from them, and we'll get it all put back together. But it's really...
Is that car totaled, Carl?
Yeah, thank you.
I have to ask the blind obvious.
Yeah, that's the only direction it would go. After I couldn't go right. I was trying real hard to get back.
Yeah,
around.
she's torn up.
It's broke. But now we'll go have a 500 and try to avoid the wrecks. Like Jack said, I know what the wrecks look like now. I'm really familiar with them, so we'll go get this.
You're pre-crashed.
Yeah, pre-crash for the 500. I mean, how much better does it get than that? We'll hopefully get our Ford Fusion to victory lane. I want to win this 500. And don't count us out. We're working hard. Our guys are in the groove, and it's nothing but work. We'll just go do it.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Late last year, crew chief Gil Martin reunited with Kevin Harvick. Boy, they've been on a tear here in Daytona Beach.
Back in Daytona, dual race number 1 of the Budweiser Duel is complete. Matt Yoakum is standing by in victory lane with the first winner.
After a second, third, and a fourth, Kevin Harvick's racing resume now can add a Budweiser Duel victory. 40-degree swing in temperature from Saturday night to today. What was the biggest impactful learning tool to score a second 500 you learned?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the fact that the cars were definitely a little bit freer. My car was a little bit free up off the corner, but man, the way that the draft worked out, you really had to be precise on timing, because if you weren't, you'd get hung out. Just got to thank all the race fans in Sprint, Budweiser, Ream, Jimmy John's, Chevrolet, Champion, Hunt Brothers, Bad Boy Buggies, everybody that helps the Chevrolet out, and all these guys on this RCR team.
So much has been said about superstition, but I've got to tell you, next Sunday, I think I'd put little Keelan back in the car. Twice he's been in the car, twice a win.
Hey, I don't know what that is, but man, we're just having a good time, and having Delana and Keelan here just adds a great balance to my life, and just relax and ready to race.
Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Ermi?
Well, Danica Patrick, 17th place finish, but a clean race car, and I expect you learned a lot in the process as well. Tell us about your day.
I learned some. I feel like what I really need to do is go on down to Harvick's bus tonight and figure out what the heck he's got going on, because he's got it figured out this year here. So good job to him. But yeah, I mean, it was the top line was the way to go. I mean, I lifted a little on the start because I got a bit of a jump, and I didn't want them to close so fast and then get freight trained in a real scary way. So I lifted a little on the start. I don't know if I should have or not. And but the top was the way to go. So once I dropped back, we just hung there, and I was really tight. We tightened it up yesterday, and we tightened it up even more for today. So I feel like we kind of overshot there, but that's all right. It ended up being kind of like a test session. And then when we pitted with Tony and a bunch of others, but something happened with my tack, and I wasn't getting the revs that I needed to know what I was doing on pit lane. And while I was running out there, I was doing about 10,000 RPM, and I'm pretty sure that's not right.
It's not right, but that's Danica Patrick. Good solid day for the 10 team. Steve?
Well, Hermie at the Care Center, and Trevor Bain has just come out. I heard you say on the radio that you were okay, but your car wasn't. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, that was a unfortunate deal for our team here. We had a fast car all day long. I wasn't really close to the 11 at all, and he got loose in front of us. After we caught that next group, we've been making a run at the leaders there, and you can see it. Carl gets turned right in front of us, and it's pretty dead from there. But actually, the later hit, you can't see it yet, but the 51 slides up in front of us. Or the 50, I don't even know what number it was. It came so quick, I never saw him coming, and it got another hit there. But it's unfortunate, man. We had a fast race car all day long. But same thing that happened in 2011. We qualified third, got crashed at the end of the duel. So maybe we can win the 500 now. I don't know, but I hate that they got to get the backup car out. That's never something you want to do, especially when we're so tight on cars right now.
All right, thank you, Trevor. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Steve. And we told you the duel is dramatic. Here are your Nationwide Insurance Race 1 results. Kevin Harvick does it again. Greg Biffle strong one more time. There you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. securely in the top 10. But, Jeff, there was some controversy. There's a shakeup. If you watch the race, one of the names that you saw in the top finishers, Martin Truex, he's not there.
Yeah, we noticed right there. When he came into the pit area, they said the right side window was not inside the car like it's supposed to, not properly put in there. So what happened? It advanced Scott Speed into the field for the Daytona 500 in that 15th finishing position. Great break for him, not such a great break for the 56 car of Martin Truex Jr.
Absolutely. Talk about the range, though, of emotions for Scott Speed. He thought he was out or possibly on the bubble. Now he knows he'll be racing in Sunday's Daytona 500. Hermie is with him.
Scott Speed debriefing with your crew. You're in the Daytona 500. Congratulations.
Cool, thank you. It's awesome. I mean, I think we have a really good car. We were really good the first part of the race, and we kind of blew a pit stop. And then it kind of put us in the back, and then it was hard with no one behind us, with no help. It was difficult to go anywhere, but we're in. That's good. I think we're going to have a solid car for the 500.
A good notebook for Scott Speed and his team to work on this car to get ready for the Daytona 500.
Here is your side-by-side brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Kevin Harvick coming to the checkers. That's his crew chief, Gil Martin. They're reunited this season. So far, they are 2 for 2, winning the Sprint Unlimited and dual race number 1. Richard Childress, a very happy owner. We will get you ready for dual race number 2 and continue talking about the duel. Speed's coverage of the Budweiser Duel at Daytona is presented by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And brought to you in part by the all-new Ford Fusion. Go further. And some thought with the top 35 rule being gone, there wouldn't be drama in the duel. Well, this race started with little Keelan taking his good luck seat for Daddy, and the race ended with the superstition working because Kevin Harvick able to drive to the victory in dual race number 1. So Kevin Harvick happy, ecstatic, but it's not happiness for everyone. We talked about the drama. What about what's going through David Rudiman's mind?
Did we make it or not? No, we did not make it yet. Only it depends what happens in the next race. We did not make it.
And Jeff, just listening to that, it breaks your heart because that's really what the duel is all about, is that drama.
Yeah, you don't understand it. I think you heard it in the voice of David Rudiman right there, how important it was to make the Daytona 500 and how close that he was to getting himself locked in and not having to go back to that motor coach or that garage area and sit around and wait for the second race to end to find out whether or not he'll be in the 500 come Sunday.
Of course, so you got to look at Kevin Harvick. He's won the Sprint Unlimited and the duel in the same year. 12 times that's been done before. Coming into this race, Danica was the story, but right now Kevin Harvick is making a statement that Sunday he'll be the headline.
He is definitely, I mean, he is hot. And I think what's impressive about the way Kevin's been racing this new style race car, he has figured it out faster than anybody else. And I think that's a tribute to his ability to understand what these cars are needing. And he has really taken, advantage of it. He's been able to do everything right, from making the move at the right place in the right time. Even when he goes to the back, he knows when to get back to the front. He's excellent getting on and off pit road. And his crew, they are spot on for the first couple races this year. They've been doing an excellent job off of pit road.
And there are still so many question marks for this new Generation 6 car. But like you said, so far, Kevin Harvick has it figured out. He's your winner in Daytona. The Budweiser Duel at Daytona, presented to you on Speed. And aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, well, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Well, it was a pretty smooth dual race number 1, at least from the start. Let's take a look at the highlights. As we said, Danica Patrick, the first female to sit on a pole for any Sprint Cup race, let alone the Daytona 500. She leads the field of green in dual race number 1.
Yeah, she has some trouble. Right, the inside line doesn't really go like she needs to. She drops in the back of the pack. She at least kept her car out of trouble. But here was some trouble getting on pit road for Trevor Bayne. Had to put on 4 tires, and because of that, found himself back in the pack. And this is what happened later on. 4-car wreck, the 99 of Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, and the 21 of Trevor Bayne get tangled up. It ends his day.
Yeah, that was 7 laps to go.
How about that driving by the 88 of Dale Jr.?
I know, he escapes it. Woo, and just unbelievable, because it really was pretty quiet up until that point. That's when all the noise was made. But Kevin Harvick making the biggest noise right now. He wins the race, and let's hear from another driver in that race number 1. He's with Matt.
Krista, the new car is certainly exciting to watch on a racetrack and can be unpredictable and challenging to drive at times. And Denny, your assessment of what happened?
Yeah, we were, I think we had a 5-car pack, and we were starting to catch the leaders, and I know that we came up on, I think it was the 13 and the 99, and I think they were trying to figure a way to keep us back there and keep us from stop our momentum, and we all had a big head of steam up top, but the 99 just came up a hair, and I came down a little bit, and really once I got to his right rear, I got loose and obviously turned him and got the 21 involved, but it's a tough deal. Really, I had what I thought was one of the tightest cars out there. It was handling really well, and it just shows you any kind of bad aero position you put yourself in, your car can be vulnerable.
All about learning the car good for Sunday?
Yeah, definitely. Fortunately for us, we're just going to have to replace half a nose. This car will be fine. Hit nothing in the steering, but really look for more side-by-side racing, hopefully, in the 500. Obviously, guys running the top line single file in the first duel will probably set the tone for that type of racing, which you'll see in the second.
Krista?
Thanks, Matt. Denny's had a fast car, but he's been in some trouble this weekend. We'll get you ready for dual race number 2 when we come back, and we'll be joined by a special guest. Stick around, a lot more to come here on Speed with our coverage of the Budweiser Duel.